Thank you all. This is the last thing that stands between you and a glass of wine. And by all accounts, we have a big announcement. They've just given away our big announcement. But we should all have a glass of champagne to toast the Unlock Potential initiative that you're going to hear about today. Our time's going to fly by because there's a lot to say, and I don't want to take up a huge amount of time. I think I'll lead off with Celia describing what Unlock Potential is and how it was conceived, and then we can sort of move into the details with Marvin and Joseph just about what it means, how it's going to work, both in businesses and with the partner organizations.
Well, thank you very much for having us here, and thanks to my amazing panel for being here with me. We're talking about Unlock Potential. So this is a program actually designed to prevent people from entering the justice system. The work being done around second chance hiring people that have a conviction is essential, incredible, and seen by this incredible person next to me, Dr. Marvin Carr. And from it, he thought, why don't we also focus on people that have never been to prison, but are especially likely to enter the justice system? Can we work out who those people are? Yes, actually. When we look at prison populations, there's two things that are overwhelmingly repeated in prison populations. Number one, people have been there before. They're going into prison, coming out, going back in again. And that's a cycle that we need to work to break. Number two, people overwhelmingly have one or more of 4 adverse childhood experiences. And those adverse childhood experiences are they've aged out of foster care, they've been a foster youth, they have a parent who's been incarcerated, they've experienced the juvenile justice system themselves, or they've experienced trafficking, sex or human trafficking. So Dr. Marvin Carr, being the brilliant person he is, thought, what if we use philanthropy in a really highly leveraged, strategic way, and we focus philanthropy on young people that exhibit these adverse childhood experiences, and we get them before they enter the justice system. If that seems brilliant to you, it's because it is. And I give all the credit to Marvin for that. And if you're thinking, look, well, how much of a problem really is this? Like, we're businesses who have a lot of stuff to do. You know, we have a lot of stuff to care about right now. America leads the world on incarceration. The justice system in America is a massive problem because there's just a massive number of people who are entering and exiting the justice system. And it also has a really large race connotation too. Young black men in particular are disproportionately likely to enter the justice system. They make up more than 50% of arrests of young people. They're 9 times more likely to end up with a prison sentence as a result of an arrest. And the impact, again, is more. If a young black man enters the justice system, the outcome is 40% more damaging for that young black man in terms of things like obtaining a job, getting employment, housing, safe housing, access to healthcare. So this is a problem that we know we need to fix. How do we propose we fix it? We don't have all the answers, but we have one answer. Either side of me are businesses, representatives of businesses. What if we give these young people a job? What if we provide employment to them in a way that's really meaningful, that is intentionally designed to give them a career track, an alternate pathway? What if that work is really well supported? What if those jobs are earmarked for them? They're not in a race with everybody else, they're in a race against one another. What if we earmark jobs for these young people and we say, we're holding this role for you. If you do well, this can be your life. You can have a completely different life to the one that alternatively could be set out for you. Again, if that seems brilliant, it's because it is, and it came from the brain of Dr. Marvin Carr, and you get yourself to a position where you've created something that's really good for a young person, you've created something that's really good for a community because you're reducing incarceration and you're reducing crime, and actually, and this is the real brilliant point, you're creating something that's really good for a company, because now they have a super fantastic workforce that probably looks more diverse than the workforce that they would have otherwise obtained. So that's what Unlock Potential is in a really long explanation. And what we're launching today, this will be my segue, is that this work that's been supported by Walmart, we're adding Greyston Bakery to one of the businesses. We're leaving our sort of conception and design phase, and we are commencing our pilot phases. So wish us luck. No one's ever done this before. Thank you.
So I want to say this. When we had our conversation last week, just to talk about sort of what we'd be covering on this panel, one of the things that really struck me was that, and everyone on the panel said it, that these kinds of initiatives can be so philosophical, but the sort of ambition and all of this desire to do better for kids at risk and provide lifelong career opportunities. This is a really practical program, and not only is it to the benefit of the kids that hopefully will avoid incarceration or the potential of incarceration, it's also just, there's a massive business case for this. It's designed to build and develop a workforce for the future. And I'd like to turn it over to Joseph Kenner to talk about their open hiring practice at Grayston Bakeries and how that fits in, sort of how that aligns so perfectly and interestingly with this Unlock Potential program.
Yeah, well, it's so great to be up here with this amazing panel, and thank you to 3BO for the opportunity. But I want to connect you guys to our name and our brand. How many have actually heard of Grayston in this room? So not too many of you. So anytime you've had a pint of Ben & Jerry's chocolate fudge brownie ice cream, half-baked, mint chocolate chance, Justice Remix, you've had one of our brownies. We sell our brownies in Whole Foods, the packaged brownies. We're actually in their private label, and we have a birthday cake vegan, birthday cake blondie, ice cream that just came out in April. Very good. My 5-year-old loves it, by the way. But those are the brands that we're associated with, Whole Foods, Unilever, Ben & Jerry's. But really, the brand that we are most proud of, it's our people. And Rachel alluded to it. It's our open hiring model. And when you become a baker in the bakery, you come through what we call a bakery apprentice program, but it's through open hiring, which essentially means that all you have to do is put your name on a list, and when it's time for us to call in people to be bakers, if you get the call, you get the job. No questions asked, no background checks, we don't do interviews, we'll train you. And get this, when you look at our management team, particularly our non-union management, just under 50% of our folks are former bakers. So there's a nice path. And going to what Celia was saying is we're very proud to say that we can now be a part of Unlock Potential and show companies how we can do this thing called hiring. Because when you think about it, 11 million unfilled jobs, record quit rates. We've got another 10 million or so that are on the sidelines because they have one or more barriers to employment, a third of whom are disconnected youth. We have a problem here. We're not doing open hiring well. So we like to say at Grayston, we don't hire people to bake brownies. We bake brownies to hire people. The focus is on the people. And we as businesses, we got to get this hiring thing right because there are great people on the sidelines. And if you give them that opportunity, it's not a promise, it's not social work, it's an opportunity, you can actually benefit from that as a business. And it's more than that, it's the people that you're hiring. You're not just hiring them. You're hiring their family, you're benefiting their community. It's a win-win-win, employer, employee, society. So for us as businesses, this is the one lever that we have where we don't have to ask anybody for permission. We can just do it. And for 40 years, Grayston has been doing that and demonstrating how business can be a force for good, as well as make a good product, as well as be profitable, and as well as make an impact in society. So we're proud to join this coalition of businesses because we believe that the solution lies here. We are the problem solvers as business leaders, and we're happy to work with others who are looking for other solutions, and we believe we have one, and it's called open hiring.
It's so exciting. I want to bring Dr. Marvin Carr into this conversation because Marvin is so very much the architect of the model. He had so many interesting things to share about the kinds of organizations that will be partnering and pairing with the companies that are part of the initiative. And of course, Walmart and Walmart.org's racial, what is it?
Center for Strike.
Center for, yes, sorry. I'm bungling up all my names at the end of the day. Have funded this program. So over to you, Marvin.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you so much to both of you for this work. Following the murder of George Floyd, Walmart did two things. First, we started in the company 4 shared value networks that asked the question, how might we address anti-Blackness? Walmart, right? And they did it in 4 ways. We started 4 SVNs, as we call them, each one led by one of the executive vice presidents or one of the CEOs. Now think about how can we use the company's infrastructure, right? Walmart is the largest private employer of black people in America. Walmart is the largest private employer, 1.7 million employees, to address that in 4 areas: black health, black wealth, black education, and criminal justice reform. The thing about that is that touches almost every business here, right? How we might support folks who are your suppliers or our suppliers, and all those ways. At the same time, we also started through the Walmart Foundation. And so, like many of you, we have both foundation and corporate focus initiatives. Started the Walmart Center for Racial Equity, which is a 5-year, $100 million philanthropic investment in the communities, in society, to think about how do we advance the work in those same 4 areas. And so to date, we've invested almost $55 million in almost 3 years to advance that work. And so it's really about actually doing the work connected with that. And so this particular work is focused in our criminal justice pillar, in communities where customers feel safe walking from their home to the neighborhood market, or from their car through the parking lot into Sam's Club, in communities where Walmart and Sam's Club associates feel safe working with community members, and then lastly, in communities where the actual workforce is free to access the jobs. Walmart thrives and the community thrives. And so that's why we're making this big investment, particularly in the criminal justice reform, on the front side of the criminal justice space. How might we create more pathways for the young people we know are going to end up in prison, and because of that, not creating value in communities, right? Not spending money on Hershey's or Johnson & Johnson products in our stores, but really, really engage in such a way in community, in the economy, that they can support in all those different ways. That's what this awesome program is. So it's not just Walmart or Sam's Club. It is now Greyston. It's Delta Airlines. It's been in, I'm going to miss someone. It's been in Jerry's. Okay, I can't think of it. But the focus right now is not on, we've all seen, I started my career in the Obama White House working on My Brother's Keeper and the 100,000 Opportunities Coalition. And so we've all seen opportunity youth workforce development things fail. I have. And the reason they fail is because of the proposition, right? You need to help young kids because you need to do it, and not having it tied to the often triple bottom line of what we do. And so I think that's why this is a unique opportunity, especially in this time where we're all having trouble hiring and keeping folks, especially young people, in a role.
It's great. So I'm not sure maybe it's Celia who can speak to this, but what's the ambition for how this scales? So what's the pilot, and where does it go from here? Where do you want to, a year from now when we're all sitting here, what will we be announcing?
Okay, so once again, wish us luck. But yes, so at this point we have 5 major national companies in our pilot stage. They are American Family Insurance, Ben & Jerry's, Sam's Club, Delta Airlines, and Greyston. We also have a regional hub, which I'm really excited about, run by my amazing colleague, Ashley, who's going to wave at everybody now and die inside because I've just shamed her in front of everybody, in Columbus, Ohio, with Goodwill of Columbus and Nationwide Children's Hospital. So this is the walking before we start running. Next year, we start to running. We work alongside an amazing organization called Persevere who supports us on the community-based organization side. We recognize that businesses aren't 100% of the answer. We need social workers, experts and specialists, not only on what these young people have experienced, but also what they've experienced in Columbus, Ohio, or in Atlanta, Georgia, or in Nashville, Tennessee. So that network begins to build next year. We're already in the process right now of looking for cohort 2 businesses. We have quite a large number already signed up. I'm looking at my colleague Lena, who's also looking terrified about next year. And then it begins to scale from there. What this looks like when it's wildly successful is actually organizations like RBIJ exiting because businesses are so sophisticated at understanding how to do this by themselves that we more or less operate a call center, preferably from Hawaii, where we answer very briefly questions, maybe for 2 hours a day, for companies that are trying to do it and trying to do it well. But they're so good at recognizing how and why they should do this, and they're so good at working with community-based organizations that Marvin and I have retired. Maybe together, I would be fine with that. In Hawaii together, we're enjoying our Mai Tais on the beach in Hawaii. That's the goal. Maybe that's a prelude for everybody's glass of wine after this too. The booze is coming, I promise.
Another thing I'll add to it, one of the interesting things for our company, for Samsung and Walmart, is, scale. Many of you know, like, scale for Walmart is
everything.
Crazy, right? There are 6,500 Walmarts, 800 Sam's Clubs, but also that means that they're in 7,000 different communities. And so, like, this kind of program won't work unless the teachings of RBIJ and Persevere and Lack Potential are in the bloodstream of the company. Because there's no way for a nonprofit to scale. The company has to really engage in community to make this work. And the second thing is that not only are you doing this work particularly to impact and bring in these young people, there is a different way, right? I have a 19 going on 74-year-old niece that you have to engage young people. And the great thing about this project is that it is kind of a curb cut effect. I'm sure you all have heard of the curb cut effect, right? This idea that you create something for those who are the farthest from opportunity, those who are the farthest from equity, and everyone else will benefit from it. And so that's really what this project is really getting to.
Can I touch on the scale piece? Because I think that is so important. Like, we have to scale. And we have to look at this in terms of a cost to society. If we continue to have people on the sidelines, that means more people in the criminal justice system. That means more folks on public assistance. That means more folks dealing with mental health issues. We have an opportunity through one job, when you think about that, to change someone's life, a person's community, their family. But really, for us as businesses, we get good people. And we get our product out the door. We get to deliver our service. So we have to scale. So at Grayston, that's a key piece for us. If you don't know, we have the bakery, which is a benefit corporation. So we do focus on the triple bottom line of people, planet, and profit, 3BL. But we're owned by a foundation. And I have the privilege of being over 2 entities that's actually committed to inclusive employment. So it's the hiring piece, but then it's what are all the things young people and other folks need to stay employed. So all the other ancillary services, whether it's wraparound support, whether it's housing, how can we connect folks to all those different things to make sure they stay in the job so that they continue to provide for themselves, but really to support the businesses too. So we have a great ecosystem, I think, that we're developing here. So again, really appreciative to be a part of this with Marvin and Celia.
And I think I'll add to that. If where your company is right now and what Joe is describing feels like a pretty big jump, that's exactly why we're here. That is why we are here. That is our job, is to build and design this to make it easy, not difficult. I think that a lot of companies look at the gold standard and think, my God, we are not there yet. But actually, our organization walks companies from not knowing anything about unlock potential to implementing unlock potential. We have done that with every single company that we've worked with, and we will keep doing that. So it's sort of, don't panic. Don't panic hearing how great Joe is. Know that that's where you are going with your company, and all you need to do is sort of make one phone call to us, or literally as simple as email me. And that's kind of stage one of things. I think that that's a really important message that I want to underline,
And so as we come into the end here, if there are companies that want to come on board with this, what will be expected of them in the first year? What are the benchmarks? What benchmarks will they need to meet in the beginning that would give them confidence that they could get this off the ground and with some ease, but not perfect ease?
Yeah, so we don't have benchmarking around how many individual young people need to participate, because we think that is something that is relevant specifically to the company. Smaller companies, and it may have smaller number of people. Larger companies may have larger number of people that they hire. And it's also related to what kind of jobs you're offering. Like, we would rather young people enter jobs with a real opportunity for a career track as high as possible within the company, and sort of focus on that quality, not quantity. What we do is we work with the company to kind of assess where in their company these young people would fit, even geographically where they would fit. And then we put together a kind of rule book, I suppose, specific to them, what they're going to offer to the young people, how they're going to work with us, how they're going to work with those community-based partners, and on what timeline they're going to bring those young people into their company, and how they're going to continue to support those young people in their company. So actually, really the whole thing, a lot of the work it sits on our shoulders, and really what we need for the company is just to constantly be explaining to us how their company works, and we'll kind of put it together for them.
And I'm just going to rudely go just a little bit past our time. Marvin, can you say a little bit about where the young, like sort of how the young people who will come into this program are identified? Because I think that the partner programs, to me, was such an interesting and appealing part of this that felt distinct from other initiatives I've seen like this.
And I'm lucky to have, Walmart Foundation grantees and also Walmart Inc. partners all over the world. And so actually, say for instance, so the pilots for Sam's Club will be in Dallas and Houston. And so there are organizations in those cities that specifically focus on supporting wraparound services for the young people in those 4 categories. So for instance, in the city of Dallas, there's an amazing organization called Girls Embracing Mothers, GEMS. So GEMS is a program where young girls who have mothers in prison, the GEM supports them by taking them to see their mothers, providing mentorship and wraparound support services for these young girls who don't have a mother at home. And so Sam's Club, for that particular population, is going to be working with GEMS, and GEMS are going to be providing the wraparound services for the young girls who are hired into the Sam's Club. And similarly for organizations like Prison Fellowship, there's other, United Way of Atlanta, right, who specifically focus on support for these young people. We'll be working with the companies to develop the wraparound services that they need and the supportive services that they need to be successful.
It's great. Well, we're past our time, which means it's past the time that you meant to have a glass of wine, pulling right up to your lips. So thank you all for joining us. Congratulations to everyone here for the brilliant launch of Unlock Potential. And